Hello and welcome to the Total Entertainment Podcast with me, Paul Collis, and today we're going to take a look at the Keiser Chiefs live on tour with their supporting artists of the Fratellis and the Sherlocks. So it sounds like a real good lineup. Not often that you get one good band, but when you get three good bands all in one day, it's great. Great to see. Very great to see. So today is a 4-truck show. So a medium-sized show, so they will be sharing a lot of equipment, but we don't know who is getting what off the top of our heads right now. I say our heads, my head. Anyways, let's continue. So currently the build is going well, and it is 11:10 in the morning, and they're still looking at what's getting put into position. So currently stage left, they're working where they're putting in the monitor perch. Stage right, you've got a feeder truss just going up with what looks like at the moment 3 lighting bars: front of house 1, LX1 and LX2. Not sure exactly what's going on at the moment because I don't think these trusses were pre-rigged. They out of a box and straight on. It looks like a basic rig, but could be wrong. There may be more to go on in a bit. Well, in fact, there's definitely more to go on in a bit, because they're still tipping one of the trucks, which is probably the lighting truck at the moment, to be honest. Right, so what do we have? At the moment, I can only see a handful of moving light profiles, some LED units on both front of house 1 and LX2. Can't tell what's going on at the moment anywhere else. It looks slung underneath the feeder truss. You've got a smaller truss on stage right, which has got some smaller LED bars possibly, or LED wash units. Right, so at the moment they're winching the bars past working height, and the way how it's been rigged up, you have to fly all bars at the same time because of where the feeder truss is. It's got power cables going to every single lighting bar via that feeder truss, so it has to fly in one go. It can't go independently or you end up snapping a load of cables. Wow, we've got 2 mirror balls, which, if you've heard in earlier podcasts, I am not a fan of mirror balls. I hate them, and I believe they should have stayed in the 1980s. But it has one effect that you just cannot replicate anywhere else, and that is that lovely, horrible, garish mirror ball effect. Anyways. So all the lighting bars are halfway up in the grid out the way, because they're about to start bringing more stuff up onto the stage. Currently they have a small LED screen at the back of the stage, and I'm not sure if there's going to be more panels to go onto it. Maybe or maybe not, I'm not sure just yet, but at the moment it's quite a small screen. It's saying 784 by 336. Anyways, so sound wise, they've got stage left's line arrays up, so you've got 1 wide and 15 deep. Set a little bit back and 45 degrees out, you've got the smaller line array for surround sound effect, and that is 8 deep. And they've flown a stack of subs which are 5 deep. Although I've got a feeling that there will be more subs in front of the stage, but only time will tell. Currently stage right's line arrays are not up in the air yet, they're currently building them, and the mixing point is a little bit further forward. Now today's show is also a hybrid show when it comes to seating, so you've got the retractable seating tiers, otherwise known as bleachers. They're all out in their typical horseshoe, and the whole space in the middle will be standing space. A nice little hybrid event where people will get to either sit down or stand. And I don't think those tickets are allocated, so anyone is welcome to go and sit down. And especially after a long day at work and being probably drenched because it has been constantly raining for the last couple of days. It'll be a nice welcome relief. We'll be back after this. So not only does Monster X Media have a series of podcasts, but we also have a series of books. The first book is actually 2 books, it's Volume 1 and Volume 2, of a tribute to working at sea. The best fiction is based on truth. This is a compilation of short stories, rants and poems loosely based on the author's experience at working on a cruise ship. Some of these stories are based on actual events but highly exaggerated, whilst other stories are pure fiction. The title of the book, A Tribute To, is fitting with the tone of the book because, like a tribute act, it is a blatant, altered reality where you can enjoy it knowing it's not quite the truth. There are things with alcoholism which used to be highly prevalent within workers in the cruise industry, as well as stories with a sexual nature. So sit down, relax, and enjoy the ride of A Tribute to Working at Sea Volumes 1 and 2. All of these books are available on Amazon and are available in paperback and on Kindle, and the links for all of these books are in the description below. So the Keiser Chiefs are an English indie rock band from Leeds who formed in 2000 as P.I, releasing 1 studio album, 22, in 2003, before renaming and establishing themselves in their current name that same year. Since the formation, the band has consisted of lead vocalist Ricky Wilson, guitarist Andrew Whitey White, bassist Simon Ricks, and keyboardist Nick Peanut Baines, and since 2013 drummer VJ Mystery. He replaced founding drummer Nick Hodgson following his departure from the band in late 2012. Primarily inspired by new wave and punk rock music in the late 1970s and 1980s, the band have released 7 original studio albums: Employment in 2005, Yours Truly, Angry Mob in 2007, Off With Their Heads in 2008, The Future Is Medieval in 2011, Education and War in 2014, Stay Together in 2016, and Duck in 2019, and 1 EP, Lap of Honor, in 2005. 1 compilation album, Souvenir, the singles of 2004 to 2012, released in 2012, and numerous singles including the number 1 hit song Ruby. Their album Employment enjoyed critical and commercial success with over 3 million copies sold. It has won the band 3 Brit Awards, including the award for Best British Group, an NME Award for Best Album, and was shortlisted for the Mercury Prize. Their UK singles include 2004 and 2005 number 9 hit I Predict a Riot, 2007 UK number 1 hit Ruby, which has sold over 461,000 copies from their platinum album Yours Truly, Angry Mob, plus a further 2 top 20 singles in 2007 with the Angry Mob and Everything Is Average Nowadays. Their singles Ruby, I Predict a Riot, Every Day I Love You Less and Less, Never Miss a Beat, and Oh My God has sold a combined total of 1.1 million up to August of 2012. And probably more now with modern day downloads. In July 2005, they were chosen to open Bob Geldof's Live 8 Festival in Philadelphia. Their performance was broadcast by satellite to every Live 8 venue around the world, giving the band a massive worldwide exposure. In August 2006, the band released a book entitled A Record of Employment, which, along with photos by Peter Hill, documented the band's rise from being unsigned to their triumph at the Brit Awards that year, where the band won awards for Best British Band, Best Rock Band, and Best New Artist. Later, a DVD entitled Enjoyment, which documented concerts from the first album era, was released. This showed members of the band hypothetically interviewed when they were jaded rock stars. In October 2008, they also appeared on MTV Day in Greece, along with other bands like Greek, Serial, REM. During the appearance of The Late Show with David Letterman spoke to Nick Hodgson about buying the Keiser Chiefs drum set after a brief discussion between the pair. An undisclosed price was agreed. At the end of the Keiser Chiefs show at Chicago House of Blues on the 19th of April 2012, Nick Hodgson announced that this was the final show for his drum kit, which was to be sent to David Letterman. On the 12th of August of 2012, the band was featured in the closing ceremony of the London 2012 Olympics, playing Pinball Wizard by The Who. In October 2014, Keiser Chiefs played at the new Adelphi Club in Hull, East Yorkshire, as headline act for the venue's 30th anniversary celebration. A film capturing Keiser Chiefs' performance was made, which was shown at the Adelphi in January 2015 as part of Independent Music Venue Week. In October 2015, the film was screened at the 2015 Tuscan Film and Music Festival in Arizona in the United States. And the band were the closing act for F1 Live, an event showcasing Formula 1 ahead of the 2017 British Grand Prix, held in Trafalgar Square, London, on the 12th of July in 2017, which was also broadcast live on Sky Sports. And in September 2022, Keiser Chiefs headlined Pub in the Park at St Albans to huge acclaim. So we've heard their discography. Let's go over their tours. So they did Employment Tour in 2006, Yours Truly Angry Mob Tour in 2007, Off With Their Heads Tour in 2009, The Futures Medieval Tour in 2012, Souvenir Tour in 2013, Education and War in 2015, Stay Together Tour in 2017, and Duck Tour in 2019 to 2020, which was obviously closed short because of the pandemic. The War of Carnarvon Crescent by Paul Collis from Muster X Media. When a neighbourhood dispute explodes into an all-out war. So Chaz Bruford, his wife Ellie and their young daughter Aurora move into Carnarvon Crescent. They soon become aware of the troublesome next door neighbour who makes a point of living in her house for over 50 years. From the moment Chaz arrived and began to unload, his new neighbour takes an instant disliking to him, and she goes out of her way to make Chaz and his family feel unwelcome. The animosity quickly spirals out of control from both parties, and the mutual respect gets lowered right into the gutter from the outset. Chaz comes to realise that this is not just any war, it is a neighbourhood war to end all wars. This book is available to buy on Amazon, and this book is available on hardback, paperback and Kindle. This book is pure fiction and should not be used as a user manual. The Fratellis are a Scottish rock band from Glasgow, formed in 2005. The band consists of lead vocalist and guitarist John Fratelli, bassist Barry Fratelli and drummer Mince Fratelli. Their singles Chelsea Dagger and Whistle for the Choir were both top 10 hits in UK charts. The band's name came from the criminal family in the Goonies and received their first radio playing in 2005 on Central Scotland's Beat 106, later XFM Scotland, now Capital Scotland. Beat Scene show hosted by Jim Gellanty. They were then signed by Fallout Records after less than 10 shows. The band formed after the band members placed adverts in record stores around Glasgow, originally forming as a four-piece with Mince on lead guitar and drummer called Chris, who was soon fired. They played their first proper show on the 4th of March in 2005 in the O. Henry's Bar in Glasgow, across the road from the Horseshoe Bar. The Fratellis EP was released on the 3rd of April 2006, featuring the tracks Stacey Ann and The Guitari. Creeping Up the Backstairs was never a single released by the band, even though a video was made for it. The first single released by the band was Henrietta, which was released on the 12th of June 2006 and charted at number 19 on the UK charts. Costello Music was the debut album for the Fratellis and was released on the 1st of September in 2006. It charted at number 2 in the UK albums chart for 3 weeks. The success of the album led to the Fratellis winning a Brit Award for Best Breakthrough Brit, the Brit Award for Best British Breakthrough Act in 2007, an award that was voted for by the BBC Radio 1 listeners. The Fratelli supported Kasabian in December 2006 on their UK tour before playing 10 dates by themselves in February and March in 2007. The tour of the UK festival circuit, playing at Glastonbury and headlining at festivals such as Enemies Rock and Riot Tour, Oxygen in 2007 and Tea in the Park in 2007, amongst others. They also opened for the Police Reunion Tour in the summer of 2007 in some of the North America dates. The Fratellis also recorded some cover songs during the year, including All Along the Watchtower for Radio 1's 40th anniversary double album, Radio 1 Established 1967, and Solid Gold Easy Action for the soundtrack of the film Hot Fuzz, which also included the single Baby Fratelli. So there's been some side projects. So during the band downtime, John went on to form a new band with singer-songwriter Lou Hickley called Codeine Velvet Club. He released a self-titled album with the band in December 2009 and touring during late 2009 and early 2010. The band came to a finish when he decided to become a solo artist. He released his debut studio album Psycho Jukebox in 2010 and intended to release a second titled Bright Night Flowers in 2012, but this was shelved due to the Fratellis reuniting. Barry initially stated that he was starting his own musical project and would let Fratelli's fans know about it via the Fratelli's website. He didn't let fans know his musical ventures until November 2011, where he revealed he had joined Birmingham band The Twang, who he played with until August 2012. When he rejoined the Fratellis, he is also a regular on the DJ circuit and still DJs now when he can. Mintz initially joined a heavy metal band called Thorn O Diablo before leaving the band for unknown reasons. He would go on to join John Solo's band as a second drummer, backing vocalist and occasional guitarist during live shows for his Psycho Jukebox tour. After the recording of In Your Own Sweet Time, John had quietly re-recorded and shelved 2012 solo album Bright Night Flowers, and after the main bulk of touring was finished for In Your Own Sweet Time, John announced his solo album would be released in February 2019, supported with 2 shows in London and Glasgow. His first solo show in 6 years featured nearly the entirety of Bright Night Flowers, with only one song from his previous solo album showing up along with the Fratellis favourites Whistle for the Choir and Laughing Gas in rearranged forms and a series of covers. So touring members of the band, so additional members basically, so session musicians, we have Will Foster on electric keyboard and piano, Ryan Quigley on trumpet, Paul Towndrow on saxophone, and the Wild Tonics on backing vocals. And here is their discography. So you've got Castello Music in 2006, Here We Stand in 2008, We Need Medicine in 2013, Eyes Wide Tongue Tied in 2015, In Your Own Sweet Time in 2018, and Half Drunk Under the Full Moon in 2021. Right, so we've gone over the Fratellis and we're going to go over the final support, the Sherlocks. The Sherlocks are a rock band from Sheffield, South Yorkshire. The band consists of brothers Kieran and Brendan Crook, along with Alex Proctor and Trent Jackson. The band played at Reading and Leeds festivals in 2015. The single Heart of Gold received airplay from BBC Radio 1's Anne Mack, Hugh Stevens, Greg James and BBC Six Music Steve Lamacks. The 4th single, Last Night, was released in February 2016, with the band being invited by BBC introducing to play the SXSW Festival in March 2016 in Austin, Texas. The band also played in Manchester as part of Dot to Dot Festival in May 2016, followed by once more playing at the Leeds and Reading Festival 2016. In 2016 they supported the Libertines as part of their arena tour. The Sherlocks released their 5th single, You Will Be There, on the 15th of September 2016. The Sherlocks announced they had been signed by Infectious Music on the 19th of December in 2016. A limited edition 7-inch vinyl of Will You Be There was released in early January 2017, entering the official UK vinyl singles chart at number 1 on the 13th of January. On the 26th of January 2017, the band released their 6th single, Was It's Really Worth It, with the video appearing online on Valentine's Day on the 14th of February, which also topped the official UK vinyl singles chart. In early 2020, brothers Josh Davidson and Andy Davidson decided to leave the band, and later in November 2020, the band announced that Alex Proctor would join the band on the guitar with Trent Jackson on bass. A new album was also mentioned at this time for release in 2021. On the 25th of April in 2017, the Sherlocks announced their debut album, Live for the Moment, released on the 18th of August 2017, as well as their 7th single, Chasing Shadows, of which the video was released on the 27th of April 2017. On the 8th of June 2019, the band played at Elland Road Stadium for the celebration of 100 years of Leeds United, supporting Keiser Chiefs and the vaccines. And then on the 17th of June 2019, it was announced the band would release their second album, Under Your Sky, on the 4th of October 2019. They also announced a UK and European tour on this date, which they will play songs from their Live for the Moment tracks. On the 17th of June 2019, the Sherlocks also announced their track NYC, Sing It Loud, would feature on BBC Radio 1, played by Annie Mac. And on the 12th of July 2019, the band played at Castlefield Bowl supporting the Kooks, alongside other indie band Seagulls. So the discography is Live for the Moment in 2017, Under Your Sky in 2019, and this year, World I Understand. Right, so now we've heard a little bit about the Sherlocks, we're going to continue on with the build. We'll be back after this.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Master X Media presents Lord of the Memes, Bad Dog, Farmer Frank's Filthy Fucking Farm, and Bonnie Bouncing Baby Bastards. All three of these books are meme books, and they come up with some pretty brutal and hilarious memes, which are definitely not for children or the easily offended. These are ideal gifts for Secret Santa, Father's Day, or even birthday presents for the fun-loving man. So why not take a chance and make his day when he gets to read a Lord of the Memes meme book. All three books are available on Kindle, hardback and paperback on Amazon. And we're back. So the build is finished, and the Keiser Chiefs have just finished their sound check. So what else have they added onto this stage? Well, they've built a row of garages. Yes, that's right, a row of garages, but it's just the fascias, because in the garage door sections you have an LED screen in each of the three garage doors. And these LED screens are the high resolution transparent LED glass screens, and it looks really sharp. And also stage left and stage right have also got a LED screen that's arced slightly in at 45 degrees, pointing in towards the mixer at the back of the arena, and that's just for added effect, I would suppose. I mean, they've got the resolution on those screens, and it's just a nice little enhancement to it. And I do believe that that's mainly going to be for camera close-ups, and all the VTs to go on that small screen that's hanging down at the back of the stage, and the three garage door screens as well. So I was wondering why there's only a small screen hanging, and this will be the answer as to why. So everything's all ready to go. They're just about ready to do the next sound check, because we've got 2 more left to go. And then when we come back after the next ad break, we will take a look at the show itself. We'll be back after this. And we're back. So the Sherlocks, the house lights went down and they walked onto the stage in a dark blue and pink wash with a little bit of face light. and that face light was a little trickle from the front house bar. So one thing that I have to stress on this is space being very, very tight, and so you just got to remember this. So due to the stage being full of equipment, the Sherlocks couldn't move around too much, and so they were heavily restricted in movement, so they couldn't have much of a performance, because if they did, they'll end up tripping over another drum kit or someone else's guitar stands, other mic stands, amplifiers that are already there. So they were pretty much rooted onto the spot, which was a shame, but it didn't really affect their performance too well. They just couldn't interact with each other because they were spread across a few little islands of stage that was available. So they're in twos, and that's the only way that they could interact with as twos rather than an entire band, because everything was in their way. Lighting wise, they had only a side light from the flowing side trusses and some of the moving lights that are on the floor, and that was pretty much it. So they're getting cross lit with a little bit of face light, and their set was pretty much a same look throughout, with a few variations. And they were also gifted a small handful of the profile units that are on LX1 that was behind them and at the top. So when they were used, which wasn't all the time, they were in tight narrow beams, which were there to use to emphasize points of the song, in whites, a little bit of gobo break up, or even a little bit of gobo rotation to hit the audience as well. So nice little stabby lights, but that's all they had, and it did look good. Basic but good. They were constantly lit, which is all they needed which is all they needed at the end of the day. And they'd changed one of the colours from the wash per song, so that is about it. It's just a little bit of background colour on a white wash so they can be seen, and that's essentially it. Now sound wise, damn, it was good. It was definitely 22 karat gold clarity, and it was a really high standard. I enjoyed that sound mix. It had a lovely balance between all the vocals and instruments, and keeping everything nicely balanced as well. Personally, I did feel the Sherlocks had a real good set, and at one point it did look quite impressive actually. The drummer lost one of his drumsticks, so as he hit the drum and raised his hand up for a second go, the drumstick left his hand, span through the air, and went behind him. And for me, that kind of went in slow motion. You could just imagine with the drumstick just gliding through the air. But like a true pro, before anyone even noticed that the stick was in the air, he had pulled out a spare stick and carried on drumming as though nothing had happened. But it was funny to watch. It's not often that you see that, and a good drummer is a prepared drummer, and he was definitely a prepared drummer. And as I said earlier on, which is not their fault, because of the distance from the rest of the band and whatnot, and the stage being cluttered where they couldn't really move around, it did affect their stage presence. But then again, they were big enough on their own in their little sections of the stage, and it did look good, and they did play really well considering. And I do feel like the Sherlocks were an excellent choice for a warm-up band, because the audience enjoyed them, and you could tell that because they're singing and dancing and bopping up and down at points and whatnot. But I did feel sorry for the lead singer at one point. His radio mic failed at the start of a song, and he didn't realise because what he hears in the mix on stage is not what he's hearing in front of the house. So he didn't realise that his microphone died. He didn't. So he was singing for a while. You could hear him being picked up into the microphone from the guitarist next to him, which was used for backing vocals. And then the guitarist went up to him. He's like, "Oi, your mic's dead. Use mine." And then he swapped over, and the sound engineer managed to raise the volume and make it sound more prominent because it's now the lead vocalist microphone. But it was good. And yeah, the show carried on. He didn't stop doing. He didn't want to restart the song. He just carried on from where he was, and they just looped the song around because it's their song. They can loop it around, and he started the lyrics again. They just didn't stop playing. It was good. It's good to see that. And yeah, they just carried on like true professionals and absolute troopers. That is exactly how you'd want a band to react. Just like, okay, right, it's died. We're going to carry on, and we're just going to do what people want us. We're going to do what we're there to do, and that's perform. So it went down, and that went down really well with the audience. You just had that vibe, because when that song finished, they had a real massive round of applause. Right, so let's get straight onto how the Fratellis were. Well, they started off with the Can theme for their overture. So we've seen this a lot recently this year, that bands have different songs by different artists as overtures before they start for their intro, and the Fratellis were no different. But the Can, what an interesting song to use for your overture. And you had people in the audience dancing the Can, obviously not with their dresses showing their knickers, but they were there just doing the can leg movements, most of which were pissed up young men. But it was funny to watch, and people clapping along to the can, although the stage was dark, it was empty. And as soon as the overture had finished, lights came up to reveal the band, who were then pretty much in position, ready to go. And yeah, they kicked straight off. As soon as the can finished, lights were there, they went straight into their song. Now, fortunately for the Fratellis, they had more space on stage because the Sherlock's kit had then just been moved out of the way, been cleared from the stage because it was no longer needed, and it was more animated. So you had the three female backing vocalists for the Fratellis, who were rooted to their backing singer position, but they were constantly dancing. They're dancing like a 1950s doo-wop girl group, which was fun. And the Fratellis themselves, they were fun to watch. They were fun to listen to. So let's get on to how the show looked. Yeah. So yet again, the lighting was kept as basic as possible, because I guess they just didn't want to ruin the look for the Keiser Chiefs. But it was fine. It was, yet again, wash after wash with a slight colour variation. And what they did for the colour variations, rather than the light coming from the flowing side trusses, they just had the colour variations on the floor units, which just crossed the stage, lighting up the drum kit, lighting up the amplifiers and whatnot, lighting their legs, and it did look good. It's not often that you see that these days, because that's quite an old school lighting technique, just lighting the underside and lighting the top side completely different. It's a nice accent colour, and I'm going to stick with that name, accent colour. That's how I've always gone with it. Some people are like, what are you talking about? But at the end of the day, if you're going to have multicolours on the stage and you want to distinguish it, I would always call it an accent colour, because it was always an accent of the main colour of the wash. Now, sound wise, once again, perfect. as perfect sound quality as you could get, I suppose. I mean, it wasn't quite platinum standard, but it was very, very close to it. Very clear with the clarity. Every vocal, from the backing singers to the lead singers to the other band members who had a few bits of backing vocal as well from time to time, they were all heard perfectly and uniquely. And combine that with the instruments being played, yet again, it was very, very unique, and you could hear absolutely everything in its own right, and it was all perfectly balanced as well. And the Fratellis, well, their stage presence came across tenfold to that of the Sherlocks, and yet again I will remind you, it wasn't the Sherlocks' fault, because they really couldn't move around because they were rooted to the same spots because of the space on the stage. But the Fratellis, they used coolness. They were enjoying themselves on stage. The audience were enjoying them playing as well, really so much. You had people singing, dancing, yet again bopping along, and everyone in that whole arena, from both audience, crew and the band, everyone just enjoying the vibe. Had a real good atmosphere in there, really did. And a good song selection as well. Few covers, and some of their own songs, and it was a great set to see, a very great set to see. Very well done on the vocal ability from the lead singer, and the instruments played impeccably well. What more could you ask for? So 2 very strong support bands for the Keiser Chiefs, and everyone that was in the arena today definitely had value for money. I mean, 3 amazing bands who are playing really well and have got a good stage presence. Definitely good value for money on tonight's show. We'll be back after this. Anthology of Rage by Paul Collis from Muster X Media. Anthology of Rage is split into 4 distinct sections. Each section was originally supposed to become a book in their own rights, but unfortunately the author never got around to finishing each project. He did feel though that these pieces of work were too good just to be forgotten about on his hard drive, and decided to put them all together in this anthology. Section 1 is a continuation of a tribute to Working at Sea, which, with the last 7 short stories written from the collection that didn't quite make volume 1 and 2, but were too good to be left unpublished. Section 2, not quite short stories, but more rants that could be seen to be short stories about Christmas. Section 3, monologues from the twisted mind of the author. And Section 4 are poems based on the life experiences of the author. So a nice little eclectic mix of short stories and poems. Very interesting read, and if you like anger, this is a book for you. This book is available on paperback, hardback and ebook format on Amazon. And we're back. So the Keiser Chiefs, wow, the house lights went down and a VT appeared on the top middle screen. So you had the 3 screens on stage in the garage doors, and you had that little screen on top, so I'm going to refer to that one as the top middle screen. And it was of someone glancing through the eye hole of a door, and every time they glanced through that eye hole of the door, you saw what they were seeing through the eye hole, and that was one of the band members. So you'd see what they're seeing through the eye hole, and it was a member of the Keiser Chiefs, and it was about a 5 to 10 second glimpse, and then the screen would go black. Then the next person came up to the keyhole on the door, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then once all the band members had been seen through the keyhole of the door, all the screens then changed to the Keiser Chiefs walking down the street to a set of garages. The lights went down, and when they got into position, the garage doors appeared on the garage door screens with Keiser Chief logos and graffiti, and then the lights made a silhouette of someone on top of the garage roof. It was the lead singer, and he began to sing, and the lights came up. So a nice intro, interesting intro to say the least. Singing on top of a garage. Hey, they're being unique and individual, and I've not seen that before, so a great way to start a show. So lighting wise, they kept it with the less is more ethos. So when I say that, the lights in their rig, they just kept the lights quite basic, just like the other two bands to start with, but with the full rig obviously. And the stage was more white light than it was with colours, and they would add in the accent colours to bits of the songs and whatnot, and cover the audience in lights from the tight beams profile units on LX1 and LX2, and the side lights were lighting the stage with the accent colours. The front light was coming from front of house, and the screens, the 4 screens on the stage, were doing the legwork with the very brilliant and sharp visualizations and VT graphics. And they were bold and bright, and as I've said many a times, sometimes you don't want your kit to be outshone by other bits of the kit. So with their high definition glass LED screens, which are going to be super bright, there was no need to design the lights to be all intricate and having lots of shapes and whatnot, because the screens will wash out the detail from the lights. So, and the lighting designer knew this, so the screens were doing the legwork, and the lights on stage were mainly there just to keep the band seen and in places to emphasise bits of the song. Sound wise, just like with the supporting artists, it was definitely just shy of platinum quality, but of a very high grade 22 karat gold standard for the mix, for the clarity, and for everything sound related. It was very crisp sound. You could hear absolutely every aspect of it. It didn't all merge into mishmash. It was perfect in near enough every single way. And it was great and refreshing to hear 3 bands on the trot with such great sound. Because sometimes when you got a band with the really good sound engineer, the support bands don't get a great sound engineer, and they lose quality. But this was an exception to the rule, and it was a great exception to the rule. Very, very good sound. In fact, I'm going to come up with a new expression. It was the Goldilocks zone of sound. So just right. Everything was just right. So from now on, you're going to get sound-wise the comment of 22 karat gold clarity and being in the Goldilocks zone of noise. It's a good way to put it, I think. A very good way to put it. Now, how was the Keiser Chiefs stage presence? They were superb. They had the audience eating at the palm of their hand. And at the end of the first song, the lead singer jumped off the stage into the pit and vanished. And then, with a small interlude from the band, a spotlight appeared at the mixer. And there he was, on a little perch, his own little small stage, which was like 2 meters by 2 meters, and a single light on him. So he did his second song on there, and then the lights went down with another interlude, and as if by magic he reappeared on the stage moments later. So he would have had to do a big leg-it moment from each stage to get to the other stage, from the A stage to the B stage, and from the B stage to the A stage, proper legging it. But that's how they do their show, then that's how they do their show. It was great though, I did enjoy that. And throughout the whole show, the Keiser Chiefs had people singing and dancing. They had screaming, cheering and applauding at the end of every song and during songs, so that is always a good sign as well. And it was just a great atmosphere all round. A really good value for money show, and if people were fans of all three of these bands but didn't see it, you definitely missed out. You really did miss out. If you've enjoyed today's podcast, please hit like, subscribe and share. And if you haven't already done so, why not check out more content from Muster X Media by clicking the link in the description below. And we shall catch you next time. Bye for now.